Hello, Future Perfect Project. Welcome to the universe of Instagram. It's our favorite universe. I'm a little early. Today we have Theo Germaine with us from many things. I'll speak about Theo in a second. If you're new to this program, this is the Future Perfect Project. We are working to amplify the voices of LGBTQ youth and allies all over the country. And part of that is here today at FPP Live, which is us, or how to invite us interviewing special guests like the Theo Germaine, who will be with us in a moment. Hi!
Hi.
Look at your great background.
Oh, it's just a green wall. It's just a wall in a room in my house.
It's like perfect for anything in the digital age, though. It's like
I
exactly what you need.
I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, I could put something really funny in the background, like
Truly,
space.
whenever.
Where are you?
I was about to ask you the same question. I
Yeah.
am in Wairika, California. I've never been here.
Why, Rika?
It's not, so there's a Eureka, California, and this is Wairika, which is right at the border of Oregon, like right before Oregon.
Oh, cool.
So usually I
That's
pass
cool.
through, but we stop. We stop so I wouldn't be disconnected from your beautiful self. How are you and where are you in the world?
Oh, I'm okay. I am in Chicago. That is the place that I live when I'm not working, and nobody's working.
Have you
So,
been there? Have you been there the whole core?
have I what?
Have you been there the whole quarantine?
Basically, yeah. We finished filming The Politician season 2 right around the end of February, and it was right before things kind of started to get bad. And I came back to Chicago. I was in New York filming that, and I came back to Chicago when we were done, and then I had to go to Los Angeles for a really small day shoot for a project that was one of the last sets to shut down because the crew was so small that it was meeting the early regulations that were set out. So I was in Los Angeles on like March 13th and 14th, I think, and
Okay.
almost got stuck there, and then got back home. So yeah, basically since mid March I've been here,
Okay.
not gone nowhere else besides Chicago.
Yeah. And did you grow up there? Yeah. So one of my first questions is I actually don't know where you grew up or where, like, what starts us off with Theo in your life and where you started.
Oh, I'm from Illinois, but I was born in the south part of the state. I lived in St. Louis for a little bit of time when I was a baby, but most of my growing up was in central Illinois in a farm town that was just small, very small. But Chicago's been my main address for like 5 years, and now I guess I just kind of split time depending on where I have the privilege of going for work.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you go back? But also, can you hear me? Am I doing okay in
Oh yeah. Oh
connection?
my God, you're super clear. I can hear you very well.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. There was a concern that I was echoing. Okay, so obviously this is a queer podcast. Oh wait, your thingy was spinning. Your service is probably perfect. It's me I'm worried about. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll proceed. Because why? So this is Future Perfect Project, helping queer youth all over the country. So really what we wanted, the reason we're interviewing icons like yourself in our eyes is to try and speak to the things that these young people would be feeling themselves, both as an artist and as a queer individual and as a queer artist. And so I know I already told you these questions, but when did you like first know or feel the queer inside you, or is it something you've always known, or is it a word that you even identify with?
Oh, I kind of just like, I didn't really know what being queer or gay was until people were like making fun of it. And that didn't really happen. I remember being in grade school and people calling each other gay and being like, not really, I think I know what that means. And I don't know why they're saying that because I don't think that accurately describes what's going on right now. But yeah, but no, in middle school, people, started to make fun of anybody who was kind of different. And I had just known that I was into lots of different kinds of people for a long time and also knew that something was going on with gender. They were just ways that I always felt ever since I started having memories, ever since I started going to grade school. I was like, oh, I like boys, I like girls. I'm definitely not a girl. Something is going on here. Cool, great. And then it was through, through gendered language and experience that I was like, oh, that's, um, yeah. If that explains my answer. So
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
long time, basically my whole life, I joke and I tell people that my first memories are gender dysphoria and seeing The Lion King in movie theaters. Uh, if that gives people an idea of like ballpark what my age is, because nobody knows, and I think it's funny.
The secret, you wouldn't tell me when we met. You would not tell me your age, and then I think you did eventually whisper it in my ear as like as a secret. But the truth
No,
is,
it's like weird. It's honestly there's I've talked to a lot of other trans actors, and some of them have been like, I don't look my age at all, and so I don't tell people because when I do, that can affect the way that I'm cast. It's like I know people who are like 40 and they look like they're 20, and it's like,
might as well keep the illusion. I mean,
right?
that's what's so cool about The Politician too is like in season one, like I consciously knew some of your ages, and my boyfriend's friends with Ryan Haddad, and so like I knew some of your ages. I was like, okay, everyone's playing high school, like, and then what's so amazing about where the show is and where it's headed is that it's this cool way to like come to your own
It's great.
age. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so fun to like watch. When it jumped, might be a spoiler alert, but when it jumped time, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool because now the actors can like keep settling into who they are more than who they were in high school.
We have to. Ryan Murphy has talked about how he really wants to do a season 3. Ben has talked about it too, and that it wouldn't happen for at least a couple of years because I assume what will happen in the next season is that there'll be another time jump to a certain extent, and we don't look old enough yet. So Ryan's like, we gotta season ourselves, a little bit before we can, get back to the campaign.
Yeah. No, it's almost like you could be like the Boyhood of television and just keep like growing up with the show.
Right.
Which brings me to my question. What was it like for you in high school? Obviously, we had a lot of high school people watching, usually, and in our programs. And what would you speak to your high school experience worth pointing out, either in terms of queerness or in terms of being an artist, either or integrated?
Yeah. I was really involved in theater when I was in high school, and I went to such a small town that we didn't really have any stuff to do theater with. We had a really, really old auditorium, and the sports teams were kind of getting all of the money from the budget of the school, and we were like, hey, could we just like have a couple bucks to like make some art? And they said no. In high school, I was the president of the drama club for 2 years. I was in charge of set design. I did the t-shirt design. I was in almost every single show. I directed. I did marketing. I was just kind of like a little boss. And I think maybe some people were maybe a little scared of me because I could be a very intense person. But I was very, very artistically involved in high school, and I also didn't really have the best adolescence. I went through 2 divorces as an adolescent, and
Yeah.
they were both traumatic, and so I would frequently just be at school all day, like painting or working on something until 10 at night because I didn't want to go home because stuff was weird at home. So it was for me, it was kind of like art making was just my thing. It was the thing that I needed to just keep going. It was a huge passion of mine. It was a thing that I was like, I know I want to do this professionally. I just don't exactly know how. And also, it really felt like it was a way that I could express myself. We didn't always get to do the most exciting stuff in high school because my high school was so conservative. But I did get to actually play a boy in a musical when I was 16 because some guy got kicked out of his part because he wasn't showing up to rehearsals. So like it also became a place where I really felt affirmed in regards to gender as well. Um, yeah, I also was a singer. Like I did a lot of music. I did like musical theater, and I did visual art. I started doing circus performing when I was in high school. I was also I think I was very angry too because I grew up in such a small area that I was like, I don't have access to anything. You know, I can't get to Chicago. It's really far away. I don't know anybody. Um, our art programs are not good enough, so I'm just gonna express myself and make as much art as possible and kind of just go for it as much as I can, even though I feel really behind. So art was my everything in high school, and I needed to express myself, and I couldn't really be out yet too, so it was another way for me to be extra expressive.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so good to hear that because that's like obviously our mission statement and why we do what we do at Future Perfect. So it's like it's good. It's such a good reminder in terms of your experience, like for people, especially people who don't have that outlet so strong at school, to be able to like express themselves through art as much as possible. Because it's so easy also to be like, oh, arts aren't important or like or aren't as important as I know.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's so easy to be like,
Like go turn on your television, like go watch a commercial,
yeah,
go outside and look at like some landscaping, you know. It's like
yeah.
everything is art. Like, you kidding me? You kidding me?
I know it's everywhere, and it really is. There's something about it. Like I can relate to you so much in terms of high school, and like I would just try to stay away from home, and I didn't have like a terrible home life. I just that was the vocabulary I wanted to live in, was in the art and in theater and in those communities and making as much as possible. So you're also writing a lot still. When we met, you were writing a lot. Yeah, cool. I didn't know if I was making assumptions, but yeah. So when did you find that part of yourself? Was that still in high school or later on?
That honestly was earlier. I used to like I was one of those theater babies who like used to write my own musicals and things like that and would like put them on in the living room or like film movies or some shit. Like I just was very oh my god, I swore, I'm sorry. I yeah, I did a lot of stuff like that and also I did a ton of writing when I was in grade school and was like, I also really wanted to be an author. Oh my god, I'm like, I kind of just did everything.
Yeah.
One of the things that I still want to do is be an author. And I wrote stories and I made up my own languages and I drew my own maps and I had these entire fantasy worlds that I had come up with. I probably still have like laminated world maps that I've illustrated. And I also I wrote an action adventure series about my dog when I was in the 4th and 5th grade, where he was like a spy and he had a lab in my backyard.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and my 5th grade teacher photocopied all the pages and would read it to her daughter as a bedtime story every night. So like, so really writing books and things like that kind of came around before I really started getting to do plays. And I wrote songs sometimes. I like used to play a lot of music. I don't really do that as much anymore. My attention span is really bad. I'm working on it. Yeah, I wrote those things, and then right now I'm like in draft 4 of a play that I'm working on. also writing a novel for funsies because why not? And
The
I'm
time, it's the time to do
kind
it.
of just drafting some ideas for other scripts too. A friend and colleague of mine, we wrote a script together, and we're hoping to film a short film this year. Just really trying to make sure all my eggs are not put in one basket. So writing has been around for a long time, very long time.
Well, I mean, when we worked together, I was in a writing position and you were in an acting position, and I remember just being really inspired by your openness to be multifaceted. And I am also multifaceted in that way. And sometimes I feel insecure to like be hyphenated or whatnot because it's
I
just like,
totally feel that, right?
yeah,
So
it's so silly.
yeah. I'm like, I can't, I'm intimidated. Like,
And when you
yeah,
say that
yeah.
the truth is that most people you meet, even in the industry, are like,
Yes, it is. It totally is. And it's like, it is. And also like, we live, you know, we live and work and grow in this system where we're conditioned to to try to make as much as possible for profit, to try to do things for profit and to like excel and to be better than other people. And
right.
like that really screws with everybody's egos, I think, and kind of puts extra barricades up for us to express ourselves in multi-hyphenate ways. And it's like, if you know, I think that that's something that I didn't, you know, really get conditioned with. And so it's like if I could go back, you know, I would make sure that I got a healthy dose of like community is more important, you know, and like working together and expressing together and lifting each other up and like supporting each other's multi hyphenation is like the best, you know, the best thing. And also we're in a pandemic and nobody's getting any work, so people are out of survival or having to figure out how to be more flexible, you know.
Absolutely, and for all those Theo fans out there, I need to reveal that Theo is an amazing singer. If you didn't know
Oh
that,
God.
Theo is an amazing singer, and you gotta know, the truth. I know we have some
Yeah.
questions, and before I just keep on yapping about my own questions, I just want to see Emma's on our team, who's been sort of giving me some feedback on sound and asking some great questions. So I'm just gonna see if anyone else with this fancy. Oh yeah. Okay, this is a good one, and you can obviously answer this as best as you want. If it's not too personal, could Theo talk a bit about their gender versus their sexuality and how to navigate those things? You get like as much as you'd like to speak to
Cool.
that concept.
Yeah. I oh, I date everybody. Like I kind of just have been in relationships with a myriad number of different kinds of people of all different genders. That's never really been something that I've had any leaning towards one type of person or another type of person. And also, I identify as I don't even know how to talk about this.
No,
I
no,
don't.
and it was actually one of our first questions. Usually is like, how do you identify? And I totally skipped it,
Yeah.
just because it's the
Yeah.
queer space. And also, are you
Yeah.
interested in identification and labels these
Yeah.
days?
If someone was like, if someone was like, what is that? I would say, you know, I would say that I am somebody who leans in the transmasculine spot of the spectrum. I don't identify as a man. If I also use the word non-binary because I kind of am just like I feel like my gender's all over the place. But I'm also usually not a super feminine person. I think I'm probably on the big scale. You know, like here is male and here is female, and then this is the center. I would probably be like right here, like in the middle to like this spot. I think if that
And
makes
is that
sense.
something? Yeah, totally. And is that something you like to spell out, or is it more like for me? I've always just like lived. It's in the queer spaces that I find myself articulating that kind of thing. But yeah, how do you feel about like
Mm-hmm.
speaking to it these days? Did that make sense?
Into it in queer spaces versus not queer spaces?
Just like in terms of labeling, does it, or like in terms of explaining that, is it something you like identifying, or is it something like
I got you.
fire for like the desire to, what we hear from a lot of especially teenagers these days is like they don't even want a single aspect of the definition. A lot of people's pronouns that we meet are like whatever you want is truly a very common pronoun these days. I'm just wondering if you think about that at all.
Yeah, I think that I've told people that like in the very, very, very specific and correct situation, there might be a time in which you would refer to me as she, her, but it's not very often at all. And I kind of just tell people, you know, please use they and he interchangeably as you feel, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with pronouns. Yeah, I am. I guess technically I'm in the category of people who's like, yeah, anything, but like only some of them only under very, very unique circumstances. Yeah. And also I if people are like, what are you? I you know, will self-identify as trans. You know, that's something that I'm super open with, and it's presented a lot of weird things in the industry because like, oh gosh, I totally just lost my train of thought, but I was going to say something really profound. It's been a long week. I
thought you were going to talk about like how once you identify, I'm making this up, but once you identify you're part of an affinity group that matters.
That's what I was going to say. Oh my God. Yeah, it's like people are like, oh, you know, I'm comfortable being open as trans and telling people and even kind of being in your face about it sometimes because I'm like, you're not going to ignore my gender. You know, you're not going to ignore that I'm different. You're going to deal with it. You're going to process it. You're going to have feelings about it. Deal with it. Sorry, there's just a really loud noise that happened outside. Weird. And so then because of the way you know Hollywood and navigating casting is, people will take that and be like, oh, okay, you're one of those types, so we're just gonna put you in this box, and we're gonna just cast you in this very specific set of ways. And so I've had people tell me before that they were like, you could be in the closet and be stealth if you wanted to, and people wouldn't know. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but okay.
Right. Right.
I will always choose to disclose because there's no other way for me, because I think visibility is important, and you're just going to have to stop putting me in a box.
Yeah, and this conversation comes up all the time. Yeah.
It does. It's like people, you know.
Yeah.
I can't avoid answering questions, or I can't avoid gender questions. You know, people always, you know, straight cis Hollywood is always like that. Does that make sense?
Completely.
It's weird. It's a weird thing to navigate.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sure. What has been for you like one of the biggest, looking back, I think mostly in your like youth or high school time or slightly beyond, like what has been the biggest help for you, or like supporter or resource or person, mentor, femtor, anything for you that has like made things more possible or made you see your life in a more abundant way? If you can point anything out, like what's really worked for you?
When I was 18 and I was like, all right, I'm out of high school, it's time to start taking care of the things I want to take care of, I started going to a therapist who was trans. And I know that's might be kind of a weird answer, but at the time I started to socially transition, I had a licensed professional therapist, social worker, who helped me, who really just helped affirm me and really was the person who kind of changed me from being like, okay, I have to go to therapy for this and I have to talk things out, to like, feeling very empowered and feeling very okay about who I was, and feeling community even though I had just met a single person. Um, this person was also the first out trans person that I had met, and that radically shifted me, because I grew up, as I said, I grew up in a place that was so small that it was like there really were just two genders,
Right.
and it sucked.
Right.
But yeah, that person kind of just provided a gateway for meeting more people and to just access to better resources for finding other trans people, even if they weren't in the same city that I was. Oh no,
Siren pass. Sorry, say that last part one more time.
was that the Wairika Fire Department? um,
One sec. This is the amazing part of the digital. Okay. Yeah. Say that one more time. Just the last part.
last thing that I said was that the Wairika Fire Department.
Oh, it is the Wairika Fire Department, and there
Um,
is action to be had.
Yeah, but also I was just saying that this therapist that I had who was trans also, was just a gateway for me and my whole life changing and feeling more confident, and finding community and knowing that I wasn't wrong for feeling the way that I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such even my own dad keeps thinking of therapy still. His generation, I feel this way about, like, thinking of therapy as this like mark of something terribly wrong with a person. And I was just home with my parents, and I was like, a quick thing happened where I was like, this person might start therapy, and he's like, don't say that. Like, it was so weird for me because in, like, I don't know about you, but in my circles and our circles, I feel like it's like the
It's
best place
standard.
to do. Yeah.
Everybody goes right. Everybody has had therapy. Totally.
Yeah.
And also there is something terribly wrong with all of us. Our society is entirely backwards. We have a lot we have a lot of issues. We need help. It's okay.
Yeah.
Therapy's great, and we all have ego issues. And so
Yeah.
I will argue that everybody has a lot of problems and needs therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird though that like people are that's an issue that I've experienced in my family too, where a lot of people who are in the generation above me or two generations above me are like, why would I do that? And I'm like, because maybe you just want to not feel so bad. Like, I don't know. It's up to you.
Maybe it like would just help you.
Right. Maybe you would feel freer and better and more articulate and more emotionally intelligent, and but also it's like I do understand there's a lot of stigma with therapy depending on what community you're from, and it's also it's also not as easy as just being like, yes, just go. It can be hard to find therapists who are affirming, which is why I felt so lucky to have found one so early who was therapy.
Therapy. A question that a lot of people are asking, these sirens keep coming. A question a lot of people are asking here is, do you have any advice? There's a couple ways I want to ask this question. Either, do you have any advice for a queer high school artist, actor, writer like yourself? You're a painter too, which maybe we should talk about what you've been doing, which is so amazing with your paintings. But speaking to someone you could visualize right now, or the other way we could ask this is to sort of like really imagine yourself and what advice you'd give that person, knowing that that's really who we're speaking to, is that high schooler.
My being totally frank, as I said, I came from a really small town. I had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of passion. There was a lot that I wanted to do. And there was a certain amount of access that I didn't have. So I was like, you're going to have to figure this out a different way. And other people are going to be ahead of you. And you're not going to be the best. And that's okay. If you love what you do, you should pursue it, and also try to balance that dream and being realistic about it. So I went to community college and I worked so hard to get a degree and to get onto a scholarship. And going to a community college helped me have more access because I wasn't paying as much for school. I actually got to the point where I had worked for so many scholarships that I was just going to school for free. And then I transferred to a four-year university to get a bachelor's degree. And going to college is not the way for anybody, but like I just pieced things together as best as I could and just didn't give up. You know, I knew that I wasn't going to become as successful as maybe somebody else who had more, you know, money than I had. But I think that, and then when I got to Chicago, I, you know, hustled and like worked all of these side jobs in order to put me in a good position to go to auditions. I just like worked my ass off, honestly. And then something happened very unexpectedly, you know, one day, and my life changed dramatically. And all of this is to say that like there's not one way for somebody to be successful, and there's not one path. And we are conditioned to like feel envious of somebody else's path. And anytime I have been at my worst, it is because I have let that take over, and I have become, you know, jealous of somebody else, of what somebody else has, or thinking like if I just do the things that that person is doing, then I'll be successful. And letting go of that, pursuing the things that I'm pursuing because I love them, you know, not giving up, you know, being real and finding side jobs and things like that to support the dreams that I have. All of those things combined, you know, would be kind of the mindset and the advice that I would want to give to somebody who was like, how the F do I do this?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, I don't know. You don't know. It's like you don't know what's going to happen. You might discover another passion along the way when you're working on something, you know. Sometimes I think about maybe I won't want to do acting at some point, you know, and maybe I'll want to express myself a different way or want to be a dentist. Who knows? But yeah, there's not one way to pursue what you want to do, I think.
Yeah, and for
That's some of my
anyone
thoughts.
watching, I want to say Theo and I met. I was working on a musical, and Theo had already filmed The Politician, but couldn't say it. And I just reread your cover letter because I was like, you know, just because I wanted to research for this. I was like, why did I do it? Yeah. And it was so thorough and like so much passion to be part of this project. And like after doing this super high profile thing, obviously you didn't know how the world would take the show or anything, but it's you really mean it when you say what you just said, and that kind of advice you just gave, like it really shows. And I think even what we were talking about a moment ago, like being multi-hyphenated and like following that passion and what's in your heart. Like when we were working on that musical, you were working on a play. We cast you as this role that like hardly spoke.
Oh my
Then
God,
you
that's
got
right.
upgraded because someone else left the show. Like,
Oh my God, that's right.
yeah, your
Wow,
ego
that
was like so away from you the whole process, and then you revealed to us that you were in this TV show and like this Netflix show. So you really mean what you're saying, and I really want to
my
really want to
God, that
applaud
was,
you
I
for that.
remember we were like working, we were like doing rehearsals, and then I was like disappearing, you know, into the dorm room that I was staying in and just writing because I was working on a play. Oh my God. I see, okay, here's the other thing too, is that you have to be careful because the other side of all these great things that I've said is that like I am kind of a workaholic. Some of that is trauma informed, which is why you need a therapist because you need to talk through that stuff. Because if you have a particular drive, maybe because of similar experiences in life history to me, like you know, you have to be careful because you will hurt yourself. And that's the other thing too is that I will say you want to hustle and be driven and pursue passions and stay up late working on your projects and go that extra mile, but you have to take care of yourself. And I have I have been around for when I have not taken care of myself, and it's not been good.
I think that's
So
particularly true
it's
too.
hard. It's like everything about an industry will push you and tell you, keep going, keep going, keep going. There will always be some kind of opportunity. It might not be exactly what you expect it to be, but it's like if you give yourself some rest
Yeah.
and you slow down and you take care of yourself, you have to do that because that's part of your work. And now, I'm learning that kind of late, but I'm glad that I've arrived there. So yeah.
That was beautiful. Before I let you go, I want to see if anyone's asked a
Yeah,
lot of
totally.
questions, and I'm just looking through. It's hard to choose a question. I do have this question, which is random, and then I want to ask you.
Ooh,
Do you
who's my
see it?
favorite rapper right now?
Just for the sake of fun.
I really like the group Clipping. Clipping is really good. There's another. Who else have I been listening to more recently? I don't remember what her name is, but I found her through Instagram. She is 19 or 20, and she is a really awesome rapper who has muscular dystrophy and albinism. She's got like 550,000 followers on Instagram, and she's so cool. Her name starts with an S. I think it's Sean. Really bad. I just discovered her a couple of days ago, and I'm like, but yeah, no, I've been listening to a lot of Clipping lately.
It seemed like a good question to ask. And a few people have been asking what. Well, actually, I want to ask you one more question.
Sure.
Which is, talk about these paintings and what you're raising money for, and like how that came to be. I'm so amazed by that effort as well. So you've been making paintings.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm actually gonna disappear for a second because I really want to show something off that I've been working on that nobody's seen yet. Okay.
It's one of the
Okay.
questions I wanted to ask you. Is what are you so proud
Oh
of?
yeah,
So
this is the thing that I'm really proud of. Okay.
Yes.
One
yes,
second.
Okay.
Okay, Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. This will give me a second for anyone watching. Theo has to go momentarily, but if there's any pressing, I love all these questions and these comments.
Yeah. Yes. Give me a couple minutes and I'll be off. Okay, so this is my last story about art and passion and things like that. So when I was in high school and growing up, I also was a visual artist. I did a lot of. I was also the art kid. I was like president of art club in high school too. I just kind of was like, I'm just gonna be everybody's boss.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to draw and like paint and do all those things so much that I used to get in trouble in class for not paying attention. My fifth grade teacher was always like yelling at me to like put my markers and colored pencils away because I would not. I would compulsively draw, and I did a lot of like art for the school and things like that, and was like when I was in high school, my senior year of high school, the photo book club they called me into like their room that they were working in one day, and they were like, so you've been voted for 2 senior bests, but that's going to make everyone else jealous, so you have to pick one of them. And I was like, okay, great, what are they? And one of them was like the art kid, and one of them was like the theater kid. And I decided that I wanted to be the theater kid instead of the art kid. And I tried to go to school for art. And this is a story about one time when I worked way too hard and I got into a lot of trouble. I was attempting to pursue a degree in acting and a degree in painting at the same time, and I stopped sleeping because I was working so much. And I got into a car accident, and I almost died in a car accident when I was 19. And so I had to make the decision to stop doing one of the passions that I had because I had to, hone in and focus because I was hurting myself because I was working way too much. And so I dropped the art degree. And it got really hard to do art after a while because of that, because it was something that was so attached to my identity that I was like, I don't know how to express myself this way anymore. There's some kind of block happening. And also, all of these things happened around the same time that I was transitioning medically, you know, because I was on HRT. And art kind of became a thing that was connected to the previous gender that I had to express myself as, you know, every day. And so there was a lot of like stuff, you know, a lot of problems with that. And, you know, now it's been time and I started painting again. And this is something that I've been working on, and I just finished it, and I'm really proud of it. It's a present for a friend who's not watching the live stream right now, so I think they're okay. So this is a painting that I made a little while back. I just finished, and so like I've not done something like this since I was a teenager, which is a while ago. So even if you don't, even if you put something away for a while, you can find it again, you know, and you have to do it because you love it. You can't do it because you want to do it for somebody else. This is a flower that I painted too. Like these things that I've worked on are purely for passion. They're not for work. They're not for jobs. They're not for capitalism. And that is why, you know, I feel excited and proud of them. And it's like you have to be nice to yourself, and you have to. I don't know where else to go with that. I just, you know. There's so much that I've learned. All these questions that you've asked me are things that I've been thinking a lot about recently, because there's so many ways in which I've messed up, and there's so many ways in which, you know, I've not pursued things or you know, had issues, and you know, that I just hope that people hear what I'm saying, and you know,
No, it comes across, and I think what I was saying about when we met is that it's clear to me that in the midst of following those artistic passions, despite them being in different mediums, you got this big gig, right? Like it wasn't, you were working hard towards this gig, but you weren't surrendering all the artist of yourself in order to become a TV actor. You got a TV gig and continued to be an artist at its full capacity, which I know must always come with like versions of checking
after
yourself.
the fact, or like right, and I mean, and you know, and there's also an amount of, you know, being realistic. There's an amount of privilege, you know, that I've had too, because you know, having a TV gig, you know, puts you in a position where like I've had more room to rediscover, you know, art in a way that I, you know, wasn't able to do a few years ago. And so that's why I also have been, you know, painting for fundraising, which is I think what we were talking about a little ways back. I've been doing a lot of raffles for people's GoFundMe's and for various grassroots organizations, especially basically if an organization is Black and trans led run. I'm trying to figure out how to raise money for it, because you know, there's also the other side of this conversation is like, hey, you can take the skills that you have and you can use them for good. You know, also you can use them to try to help somebody else out, because we're way too individually based. We're way too individual, and we really need to work on, you know, community and work on, you know, ethics when it comes to art making, and when it comes to, you know, existing. Yeah. So I paint pictures and I fundraise for people.
Yeah, please, if you follow Theo, most of you probably already do, but you'll see Theo's been raffling paintings for various causes. It's probably not all of Theo's paintings, but feel free to participate. Theo, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I don't want to be reductive to your advice, because your advice has actually been like through the whole interview, but if you had one closing thought, or maybe something you haven't said yet, what would it be?
It would be that I think that everybody should try expressing themselves with nail polish and makeup and fun dress-up costumes, even if you've never done that before, because gender is both real and fake at the same time, and we should be colorful and express ourselves and not be so androcentric all the time. That's my advice.
Love that so much, and I've been thinking about that a lot as well.
Great.
Okay, thank you so much. Once you log off, I'm gonna say some things about I'll just say it. Future Perfect Project. If you're interested in more, if you're an LGBT youth, and you want to get involved, we're offering, for the rest of August, we're offering almost daily programs, which is amazing, with so many special guests, offering art programs for y'all. So stay tuned. Sign up is in our bio. Follow us and whatnot for more info. And yeah, thank you, Theo. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is really great.
It's really good to spend this time with you. And I'll
It
talk
is.
to you
Oh my god.
soon.
And how much more of a drive do you have? Wait, to Oregon. Wait, to
We're
Oregon.
going to cabin in Oregon, so not Portland. But we have 4 more hours of driving, so not too bad.
Oh my god.
It's
Driving for 4 hours sounds amazing right now.
it's a very lucky trip. So I feel grateful to be able to do that, and I'm grateful for the internet, really. Thank you. Talk soon.
Talk soon. Safe rest of your drive.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.